A major PGA Tour sponsorship is coming to an end, and it could signal a much bigger change in professional golf. After nearly 2 decades, Wyndham Hotels and Resorts is reportedly walking away from the PGA Tour. The company has sponsored the Greensboro tournament since 2007, but after this year's edition, that relationship is expected to end. And this isn't simply a sponsor changing its marketing strategy. According to Sports Business Journal, Wyndham, a company valued at roughly $5.4 billion, is choosing not to renew its title sponsorship under the tour's new financial structure. So what happens next? Well, Greensboro may already have its replacement. Raymond James is reportedly positioned to become the tournament's next title sponsor, giving the financial services company another major sports investment after securing naming rights for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Stadium. But the sponsor change is only one part of a much bigger story. Greensboro's future is changing. For months, there have been questions about where the Greensboro tournament would fit into the PGA Tour's evolving structure. Now, the picture is becoming much clearer. The tournament is expected to remain a traditional full-field event in 2027 before moving into the PGA Tour's new Championship Series in 2028. That means Greensboro isn't disappearing from the schedule. Instead, it's potentially moving up the ladder. And that move comes with a massive price tag. Reports indicate that title sponsors for Championship Series events are expected to pay $30 million or more per year, with annual increases potentially pushing those costs even higher. That creates an obvious problem. Who is going to pay the difference? North Carolina lawmakers have reportedly discussed as much as $40 million in state funding to help Greensboro make the financial jump. But that money has not been officially released yet. There is another major piece of the puzzle. The Piedmont Triad Charitable Foundation would reportedly need to sign a binding 4-year agreement with the PGA Tour, guaranteeing Championship Series-level events during that period. So while the future looks promising, several important pieces still have to fall into place. Greensboro isn't alone, and this isn't happening in a vacuum. The PGA Tour is preparing for a significantly different tournament structure beginning in 2028. Several events have already secured Championship Series positions, including the Sampo Championship, the Century, Travelers Championship, Arnold Palmer Invitational, and Cadillac Championship. Other major tournaments are also expected to join the group. The Truist Championship, RBC Heritage, and Genesis Invitational are among the signature events reportedly expected to make the transition. Meanwhile, tournaments such as the 3M Open are reportedly competing for some of the remaining spots. That makes every sponsorship decision much more important. Because in the new PGA Tour landscape, being part of the top tier could mean millions of dollars in additional investment, but it also means sponsors have to decide whether the price is worth it. Why is Wyndham leaving? This may be the most interesting part of the story. Wyndham's decision comes at a time when the company itself is facing financial pressure. Wyndham Hotels and Resorts has a market value of approximately $5.4 billion, but its stock has fallen roughly 17% from its 52-week high. The company's 2025 revenue reached about $1.43 billion, slightly higher than the previous year. However, earnings fell by roughly 1/3. And that's important. Imagine being a company that's already dealing with weaker earnings and a declining share price, then being asked to significantly increase spending on a long-running sports sponsorship. After nearly 20 years with the Greensboro tournament, continuing the relationship under dramatically higher financial demands may simply no longer make sense. From Wyndham's perspective, walking away could be a financial decision rather than a statement about the tournament itself. A new era for Greensboro. And that leaves Greensboro at an interesting crossroads. The Wyndham era appears to be ending after roughly 2 decades. But instead of losing its place on the PGA Tour, the tournament could actually emerge in a stronger position. If Raymond James takes over as title sponsor, the event would have a new corporate identity. In 2027, fans are expected to see a traditional full-field tournament. Then, in 2028, Greensboro could become part of the PGA Tour's Elite Championship Series. That's a remarkable change considering how uncertain the event's future looked only months ago. But there are still unanswered questions. The state funding has not been finalized. The charitable foundation agreement hasn't been signed. And the PGA Tour still has details to announce about exactly how the Championship Series will work. The tour is expected to provide more information later this month. For now, one thing is clear. Wyndham's departure marks the end of a 20-year sponsorship era, but it could also be the beginning of something much bigger for Greensboro. The real question isn't whether the tournament survives. It appears to be moving forward. The question is whether Greensboro can afford the price of moving up. And with Championship Series sponsorships reportedly costing tens of millions of dollars every year, that answer could have major implications for the future of the PGA Tour.